Hello there. I honestly feel a little rusty, which is wild. Maybe it's just the result of like being back at my parents' house. Like something about being here like doesn't make me feel like I have this overriding desire to make a podcast, you know? Like there are certainly times throughout my day when I'm traveling where I'm like, I can't wait to talk about this later. I can only hope that I have the same amount of energy and general enthusiasm about the topic in the next few hours, which usually doesn't work out well. But in any case, it's 4:45 p.m., Thursday, the 16th of April, 2026. I just went on my first bike ride, if you know what I'm saying, and I think that you do. And now I'm having, I don't know what number it is, but it's certainly not my first beer. It is actually my first beer today, but I was trying to be clever and think of like ways to determine how many beers I might have drank up to this point in my lifetime, which I don't even know how I would begin. Well, actually I do. Let me think about this. I started drinking beer when I was 18. Let's say, for easy math, that I've had 3 beers every day on average since that time. So that would mean 3 times 365, which would be 1095. So that's 1,000 a year. So 1095 times 18. Oof. Wait, that's okay. Whoa, that's crazy. If this math is anywhere correct, in my lifetime up to this point with those numbers in mind, I would have drank 19,710 beers. So hey, here's to 19,711. Look, I don't know math very well. I don't know if me drinking a beer right now probably doesn't change the average. It was already established. It's already a foregone conclusion. It knows that I'm going to drink the beer. Even if I don't drink the beer, it's still symbolically being drank on other days and not so on other days and so on and so forth. Anyway, just returned from my first bike ride, and that was like, I gotta say, a lot of fun. Way, way, way better than walking. Like, boy, it was a novelty. I really hadn't done much hiking in the 4 years between the last time I went on the Appalachian Trail. Like, honestly, even the idea of like training for this hike by hiking didn't really appeal to me, because I was just like, it's not even necessarily about hiking per se, like doing this thing. It's like, it's more about like what novel thoughts might happen while walking that I haven't recently experienced while biking. And I would say that to that end, it was fruitful, you know? I was like, it was a different pace of life, and so it was a different pace of thought, you know? And what bubbled out of that mostly, or at least in my opinion, seems to be stuff related to AI, like my interest in it, my understanding of it, my application of it, my intrigue into the things that are still mysterious about it, which is most of it. So returning to the bike, it feels so much gentler on the body. It's absolutely insane. And I had a ton of thoughts while I was biking. I wrote as many down as I could. I do remember one of them is that thoughts feel like mental fireworks. Like, you know, if you think about it, if you see fireworks, like, the initial image when the explosion occurs, you know, is super bright and super vivid, like so much so that it almost feels like it's a permanent thing across the sky. Like if you were more naive and hadn't really experienced fireworks, it may not, I don't know why it would be intuitive to think that this light show would be so temporary and transitory, you know? And the same thing with thoughts. Like when I initially have a thought, especially one that I want to write down, like it's so vivid for those moments. And I don't even know, this is unavoidable, but in order to even have the impetus to capture the thought, I have to kind of pull myself out of the reverie of it and basically ruin the thought. You know, I don't know, I've got a short attention span imagination or something like that. Or maybe I just like the seed of the idea that I see in my head, and I'm like, hey, if this is a real thing, I can refine it later. Like, the most important thing is that this moment of insight of whatever it is, it feels like unique enough for me to be like, like, I don't know, I'm sure you know, and yes, I am talking to you, like that feeling when you have like something, well, I don't know, something that resonates with you really deeply, and like, it's like a sensation that, I don't know, it's hard to describe. I don't think that we have good language for it, but it's kind of like discovering your own sense of authenticity, and like, really, it's a warm kind of feeling, almost like, I don't know, sometimes when I've had beers, like it makes my stomach feel happy, if that makes any sense, which it does, I'm sure, because there's neurons in the gut, the enteric nervous system is supposed to be even more expansive than the neurons density in the human brain, I've heard. But that also sounds hard to believe. I don't know, I guess maybe the stomach has more surface area, so maybe that's true. I don't know. It's there's some obviously kind of disturbing implications there if you think that more of your cognition or something like that, some sort of subconscious process occurs in your gut, and at a scale that your brain can't even match. That's just kind of pretty wild. Anyway, so many great thoughts, and yeah, I wrote down as many as I could. I guess for the sake of chronology, I suppose I should probably try to do that now before I get otherwise distracted. So basically, I've been here for one full day, I think. No, this is the second day. So I got about 21 miles into my walk 2 days ago, and I was still looking. I when I checked, it said that I had 14 more miles, which would be crazy because like that would have been 35 miles. Maybe it is 35 miles. I don't know. I remember seeing 34 and feeling relatively comfortable with that. But then I was, the day had gotten really hot, and I was looking down the barrel. It was like 2:30 p.m. and I had 14 more miles, and I was just like, I really don't want to do that. It was so hot. Like, again, like not even like miserably, but just like I don't want to stand in this heat. Like it doesn't feel good. And this kind of respecting of my own biofeedback that is the case is like something that led to, I guess, a note that I'll get to later. But it was sort of a theme of the whole ride because it was interesting because, it's hot out. It was a brief ride. It was 45 minutes. It was a little bit hilly. The pollen's out pretty badly right now. But by and large, it was all completely leisurely. Like it was just exactly the kind of bike ride that I like to go on. I found a Zen canister. I rocked out real hard to some music. I just had an interesting time looking around. Perfect bike ride. No rush, nowhere to be, and nowhere to go. And so, yes, wow, that was a distraction. Anyway, so I called my dad because he had offered to pick me up earlier that day, but it was still relatively cool out, and I was feeling good. I probably had just had breakfast or something like that. And I was like, no, I think I'm gonna, it's the last day, I don't mind pushing. It's just 34 miles. It's like a big day, but I'm on the road, so it won't take that long. 12 hours. Probably 11 hours. Yeah, 11 hours make more sense. Yeah, that's a reasonable pace. In any case, so my dad came and picked me up, and I was like, man, this is so much better. Not walking right now really beats the crap out of walking right now. So felt really good about that. And it was just like a very chill evening hanging out. Took a really good shower. I hadn't had a shower since leaving Parisburg, which was at this point it was over a week ago. So a week and a day. So I hadn't had a shower in 5 days. I wasn't feeling particularly gross, but there's no doubt that I was like really hot and sticky all the time. But yeah, so, I luxuriated from that point, and just enjoyed the fact, I think maybe for the first time in my life, because I think for whatever reason, and again, I think I have a list note relating to this as well, but when I have finished things in the past, even, the bike rides, the other hikes and stuff like that, when I got back to wherever I was going, usually my parents' house, hey, shout out to my parents, I wouldn't really feel tired or like I wanted to relax. I would just kind of feel like I needed to keep going, but just in a different environment and at a different frequency. But it seems like, if my memory serves, like I just remember a lot of basically starting to do the exact same thing that I was already doing, just more digestibly. I go for shorter walks, shorter bike rides. But this time, I feel really good to not be walking. I'm glad that if I choose to do it, it's like a luxury. Like it's something to go and enjoy. It's not something that I have to do because I'm on some kind of Appalachian Trail thing where that's the point, So the second day that I was here, I kind of woke up. I woke up feeling pretty good. I was tired the day before for sure. I was pretty drained. I'd woken up really early from the Amtrak, and I also didn't sleep well at all. I haven't completely recovered from that, but I think I will after tonight. Yes, I woke up feeling pretty energized and motivated, but I did not want to walk, and I didn't want to go for a bike ride either. I was like, today's like a good day to like start the reset needfuls, like do laundry and, organize my things so I know where everything actually is, and it's not just kind of put in the most convenient, out-of-the-way spot so that people can't see it, but it's still like a task that needs to be done. So I did all that kind of stuff, and, I got up at like 7, and I worked for about 3.5 hours doing all that stuff, because at about 10:30, I was done, I was jazzed, I was still feeling like, I wanted to do something. Like I had a lot of momentum, a lot of energy for doing stuff. So I went ahead and got all the materials for the bed platform thing. And it was really cool. Like I sat in the parking lot and I just like visualized it in my head. I was like, okay, well, like if I was framing something, like, I've seen a lot of episodes of This Old House. And I've also, shout out to my dad, and I've also done some like very, very minor carpentry work where I mostly am just moving things around, but occasionally I'm actually doing something like, that a carpenter would actually do, not strictly cutting wood per se, which I wouldn't trust myself with doing, even though I did do it. But yeah, I have I have like a slightly better competency for carpentry than I would think the average person does. Like, one thing actually that carpentry taught me that was really interesting was that, first of all, like, it's not a simple skill. Like, this speaks to me as a child, but until I actually picked up a hammer and was in charge, well, not in charge, but part of, like, a group, shout out to Art. Dude, Art, you need more shout outs. You know what I'm saying? The actual skill needed to do this work and to do it well is, like, it's on par with any other skill I've ever tried to utilize, I'm not very good at it, but again, like watching people who are very good at it and being a part of that building process was always something that I thought was really, really cool. And so I sketched out this very, very rough idea of like how I would make this platform. And one thing that I remembered, and I think that most carpenters I feel like every carpenter who I've worked with has said this same kind of thing. I know for sure Art said it. And maybe, shout out to Joe Kiwanis for that matter. Maybe Joe said it too. But in any case, like, there's this, like, if you have a general outline, a drawing of the thing that you want to make, and you're actually, like, figuring out what the dimensions are, and, I had, like, measured my sleeping pad and, like, the width and the length of it. That was, like, my reference, and then I just kind of extended it on the sides by about 1.5 inches or something like that. So I'd have a little bit of a lip. Like, I didn't want to just strictly have it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking about, like, the fact that if I didn't think about this from a practical lens, I might not think that I actually need a little bit of a lip in order for me to like move around on the platform as like tossing and turning without falling off. You know, I was like, it needs to be a little wider than the actual sleeping pad itself. Just, I don't even know why that makes sense to me, but that's not something that I think I would have intuitively planned for when designing something. If I was just like a kid in a class in a school learning how to make stuff, like I think I would have made it too narrow if I went on pure intuition. But yeah, my dad also helped me. Hey, shout out to my dad. And he came in at a crucial moment where like I was at I had basically made the box frame of it. And so I was trying to figure out how best I wanted to attack, like putting in some horizontal bracing, and then also how the leg system was going to work, because I knew that I wanted it to have, well, I didn't necessarily want this, but I knew that it was going to have like at least four set of legs. It would have 4 legs. And I knew that like the ones that are closest to the driver's seat were going to be longer than the ones that were closest to the trunk, because of just the way the space in this car works. And so like I had planned for all this stuff. Like I had counted out the footage that I thought that I would need so that I could determine by getting a certain like length of board how I could get wood and then have the least amount of cutting like possible, if that makes sense. And so I determined that I would need like 32 feet of wood, of 2x4s, and like a platform, some sort of like laminated, what is this stuff? Plywood. Looks pretty nice, honestly. Like, again, it's the first thing I've ever made. I don't know if anyone would look at this and be like, that's beautiful, man. But in terms of that sweet spot where form meets function, I am, well, I'll say I'm darned impressed. You know, again, I think 30% of the design is actually, the credit is due to my dad, because I wouldn't have put a third leg in. That wouldn't have occurred to me. I would have thought that the horizontal bracing was enough, and maybe it would have been, but you know, building it so that it's like structurally sound, like you can internalize what structural soundedness is, you know, and I'm not really there, but I know that it's a discipline that exists, and I highly respect and admire those who are good at it, especially when I look at my own work. Let's just say some of those tick marks, I don't even know how to read them. Like 15/32ths, I don't even know what I'm doing, dude. Like, we're in a dangerous zone. But anyway, all that being said, the bed was designed, it was conceived of, the materials were purchased, the whole thing was assembled, and I slept in it last night. And it was pretty comfortable. I think I would give last night, you know, all things considered, I'd give it a 5 out of a 10. And I think that that's actually a perfectly acceptable score for the first time sleeping in a situation where sleep is not actually the design that the thing has been made for. You know, I got a lot of good data last night. My pillow kept falling off and falling in between the driver's seat and passenger seat, because there's a big gap there, and I wanted to sleep there because that was like a place where my head would be closer to the doors, and I just feel more less. I feel like it's easier for me to make an exit or an escape, you know, which I think that's just from being on trail. You know, I was always kind of thinking about that, like, how can I place my tent so that like 180 degrees of me is protected by something that would cause a buffer to any kind of advancer, you know. Nothing ever happened, obviously, so I don't really know how good of a system I developed, but in any case, that is alive and well still here at the Chateau de la Ken. Yeah, I think it's pretty sweet. I'm excited to sleep in it tonight. I think tonight will probably be a 10 out of 10 sleep, is what I'm anticipating. That's what the markets are calling for. And so, yeah, that was great. And then yesterday, or what am I talking about yesterday? Yeah, that was yesterday. There was also a little bit of a party that my parents had. So there were some family friends who came over. We had a rip-roaring good time, delicious food as per usual. I'm truly blessed and bilsed. And yeah, slept in the car, woke up this morning at about 7 o'clock, which I did enjoy. Got up and, oh yeah, I did a full life audit today. So in the past 8 years, I've done more full life audits than any number of the years I think that preceded them. I don't have any way to verify that statement, but that is my sense. So yeah, today, I already have a remarkably small amount of stuff, like the amount of things that I own can probably fit in like a 12 by 12 feet seems too big. I don't know. I think maybe it could fit in like a 6 by 6. I think everything that I own could fit in a 6 by 6 space. Like if stacking is allowed. 6 by 6 by 6. Okay, so now we're talking about a cube. I definitely could fit every single thing that I own, maybe even my car, in a 6 by 6 by 6 space for sure. So all that being said, with my new plans to do the San Francisco thing, I want to go from having like just a backpack's worth of stuff, which honestly is plenty of stuff. Like I could certainly throw my backpack from the trail directly in my car and drive straight to San Francisco, and I could make that work, absolutely. But again, this is something that I feel like is a trap from, it's not a trap, but I should know that like that wouldn't be enough. Like on paper, that is technically like the bare minimum viable product that could be like, derived for the actual goal, which is like survive in San Francisco. But survival is like not the only thing that I'm actually going for. I'm looking for not just survival, but I'm actually looking for a lot of steps above that. Like I'm like, survival is like, that's a given. That needs to be a given. In order to ascend Maslow's hierarchy, you have to have that bottom rung absolutely secure. And same thing with like career aspirations, like Maslow's hierarchy of career aspirations. Like that would be like, in order to, if you're trying to climb a corporate ladder, which is not exactly what I'm trying to do, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, just to use easy math, let's just say that's it. Like, there are like physiological and psychological and so on and so forth, intellectual. There are things that you have to do. And in fact, I would love to see Maslow's hierarchy of needs translated to a career path, just to see what the image of that would look like. If I succeed, even though I think I should probably post a picture of my bed, I might consider posting a picture of Maslow's hierarchy of career needs or something like that. I don't know. Probably won't. Anyway, yeah, so, dude, yes, the full life audit. So, I have all my stuff up in this little storage space that my parents have in their garage. And every time I transition from one type of lifestyle to another, it just like a video game, like if you're going on a different mission, it requires a different loadout. And so like I have my complete loadout, a total bag of holding, as it were. Like every single thing that I ever had in order to make a living space functional, I have all of those items, like beds. Well, I have a bed. I certainly don't have multiple beds. That's, I think, the only piece of furniture. So anytime I move to a place, this started when I guess started living in Asheville back in 2021 or so. But basically, I would go and find furniture, like, because I'm always biking and walking anyway. When I would move to a new space, like I would always have my bed, because like you got to have that. But all the other peripheral furniture, like shelves or tables or chairs or anything like that, I would just start looking for those things, like people who were throwing those things away, and then I would just pick them up. Like I was able to furnish my entire house in Asheville, or not the house, but my spaces within it. And then also when I lived in Atlanta, I was similarly able to fill all of the space with stuff. And yeah, so that's the way that I get furniture when I move to a new place. I start with my bed, but I don't have anything else. I do have appliances. I have a coffee maker, espresso maker. Shout out to my parents. I don't know, clocks, stuff like that. I don't have a microwave or anything. Most of the places that I end up going have one. Anyway, so I spent most of my day today auditing all of my things and determining what the loadout was going to be for San Francisco, which is very, very small. Like, it's literally, aside from like my bike and my guitar, I think everything that I'm bringing with me is contained within a single tote bag and then a clear, large Tupperware thing, storage bin kind of thing, because I purposefully designed the bed so that it would have storage space underneath it, which it does in ample supply. I'm very, very pleased with that. Because I definitely don't want to be feeling like I'm crowded in here with a bunch of crap. And I also don't want to, I want it to look very simple, I'm actually getting a feeling that it would be cool to paint the bed black. I do have some black spray paint. I don't know if I want to do that, but it's an interesting idea. But yeah, being able to store things underneath here. I want this to basically look like a Spartan dormitory, absolutely nothing beyond what it actually requires in order. Every single thing that I'm bringing with me, what I do in my audit is I basically fantasize about already being there. And then I look at the thing that I'm evaluating and I think to myself, and there's obviously flaws to this way of doing it, but it's the way that I do it. I look at the thing and I basically interrogate it. I basically say, in what possible circumstance, and again, this is not leading the witness, this is giving them complete autonomy to convince me that they're worth bringing. And so, I'll look at it, and this is all happening in pictures in my head, but I'll look at it and I'll be like, what would you ever do for me? And if the answer is nothing, or I can think of something else that I have that does the same function, or at least could achieve it, then I'm just like, okay, this thing's not coming. And so, I went through my 6-foot cube of life and I asked every single item. Shout out to my dad. I asked every single item what it could do for me, and the resulting materials are very, very few, which I was pleased with. It's still so much more than I would ever bike with or ever hike with, which I think is good. If I was finding that I didn't have anything, I might be a little concerned about that. If I really could jump in the car and feel perfectly well and good about going to San Francisco with just the things that I had in my backpack, I think that would concern me. And, yeah, so what? Yeah, I did the audit. I love doing it. It's so fun. It's just I put on a really good, really long podcast. Today it was, Duncan Trussell and Joe Rogan. And, I just look at stuff, it's fun. I threw away a few things, I just I don't even know, dude. It's like being a turtle. And my shell is constantly changing, but ultimately it's if a turtle shell got too big, it wouldn't be able to move. There's a place in a turtle's life where their shell is so large that their feet don't touch the ground anymore, and that's a condition that I'm trying to avoid for sure. And then I went for a bike ride, and that was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I think I need another beer. I know I need another beer, and so I'm gonna go grab one, and then I'll keep talking. Sorry. Okay, so got another beer. Just had to help my dad. Hey, shout out to my dad. I was just joking with him because I bought my mom for Christmas this it's a bird feeder that has a built-in camera, and then there's a companion app that will tell you all about the birds that visit it. And I thought it seemed really cool, but I'll tell you, man, it's been a lot of maintenance. not even the kind that you would expect, just like having to somewhat regularly, like, just arrange a perfect scenario for it, because like squirrels were getting into it. It seems like a bear got into it while I was gone. It was all bent over and like messed up. Never seen a bird that heavy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like really struggling to figure out like the best place to put this beer. But anyway, yeah, it's all good. So I have a few things. I feel like I'm losing steam, so we should probably go over them, shan't we? Wow. Okay, so the homeless guy who I ended up giving $20 to and buying a pack of cigarettes for, he's on YouTube. Like, that was one of his big things that he kept telling me when I met him. He was like, yeah, man, you know, like, I really appreciate you helping me. Like, it's going to come back around like 100%. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, this karma bus is real, and like, you're in the front of the bus, my dude, that kind of a thing. And I was like, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I agree. Like, I think that doing stuff like this is like really good, for whatever reason ultimately motivates you to do it. I need some sandals. And so, hello. I need some sandals. My feet are sweaty. I can't go inside when I'm making a podcast. That was foolish. But my mom just gave me a pillow that I think is going to really fit in well, I think, with the actual setup. It's like this really small pillow. I don't know. It's a smaller pillow, but it's got a picture of an anthropomorphized hammer, and it says, "The fabulous Mr. Fix-It." I don't know. Something about it speaks to me. So let's go ahead and replace. Yeah. Wow. That's like the extent of my decorations now. Just having a pillow with a graphic logo on it. Yeah, anyway, wow. Oh, yeah, so the guy who I bought that stuff for and gave $20. I looked at his YouTube channel. And it was just so, respectfully, I'd recommend checking it out. I thought it was interesting, but I had absolutely no comprehension as to what it was for. Like, there were a pretty good amount of videos, and they were like, you know, reasonably long, like 5 minutes. But watching them, I was just like, I don't get this. Like, respectfully, like, I want to, but I don't understand what the imagery is supposed to convey. And so I wanted to read the description from the channel itself, just so it had somewhere to live. But I would say, honestly, the content of the channel matches the description really well. Just because I'm just like, I don't know what this means. Ultimate Special Luxio Senior Mission, parentheses, mission, with aspects of life being born, bloodline artifact, EMP, Pro, Sacred Champagne emoji, Galaxy Invicki Protex, the finest Ultra Pro Stock Pro 11 U.U.I &E with little bracket Little Empress plus Little Emperors and all size our living private ultimate dynamic dynasty, as well as being ultimate mega celebrity pro empress wives, ultra exotic showgirls all around the world, plus more *E, such as being an ultimate lucrative futuristic inventor, copy sign symbol, trademark symbol, ampersand, undercover official Tycoon Pro, sorry. And he's got 100,000 views. And I was just like, dude, can't think of a better person to give $20, let alone a pack of cigarettes. Like, I have no idea what any of that means. What that sounds like to me, and I mean this respectfully, it seems like your phone screen was on in your pocket and it was doing like predictive text anytime letters would be selected, you know? Like, I was like, dude, I have no idea. This could be the best poetry ever. I wouldn't even know. So that's Corey Brackett. Check him out. Like and subscribe. Okay. Well, yeah, I should make a little, hold on. Episode advisory notice. Okay. So I was thinking about stuff while I was biking, and one thing that bubbled to the surface, and, I gotta say, as I gotta assume that this is everyone in the world's experience, because it seems like it is. But, you don't really, actively produce or create your thoughts, especially the fun ones, they just kind of, come out of nowhere and inhabit the theater of your mind, and then, those fireworks just completely dissipate. And so I don't know why I think the way that I do. I don't know why the thoughts that I have come to mind, but somewhere between nature and nurture is the reason. And I was thinking a lot about decoupling the voice of your own inner critic, and how I feel like I have done that, not completely, but I've had an active practice of doing that decoupling for a number of years, because of I'm saying a lot of podcasts and other things that I've listened to and seen on YouTube and stuff like that. Because I think for me, I've always been someone who believes that there's more to what you get at face value, and in pursuit of that, I think the most recent realization that I've had maybe in the last decade of my life is that I am as artificial as anything else that I could possibly judge or evaluate. And so having this ultimate conversation with my own ego and my own sense of self, and how I feel like I fit into the world, and realizing that I don't even have the final say on who I am as a person because of everyone else's interpretive lens that is put on me, So the only thing that I can control is my self-perception. And I spend a lot of time doing that. It's pretty easy when you're doing a bunch of solo things, There's by definition it's a pretty solitary thing. I'm going to try to get a chair because I feel like standing sucks. Let's see. There's no chairs over here, really. I could sit on a ladder, but that sounds uncomfortable. I think I'm going to go back to my swinging chair. My legs felt really nice when they were dangling from that. And although this walk over here was nice, certainly didn't do too much for my general physical comfort. It's dude, I really just want to sit down. You know what I'm saying? So with this whole new type of conversation with myself, I guess I just don't take the inner critic, the voice of the inner critic, I don't take it any more seriously than anything else. I find it to be arbitrary and something that is easily questioned and sort of not shouted down in a literal way, but just a weird thought that makes me feel a certain type of uncomfortable is very easy for me to acknowledge and work through, because an uncomfortable feeling in my framework is just as valid and therefore impotent as any other feeling that I have. And so again, that goes to the whole thing where it's well, the only thing that I can actually control is my response. And so if I can develop something to my own satisfaction that helps me deal with what it's like to live inside my own head, then if it works, it works, And at least to this point, in general, I feel like I have a system that works. It's not something I made up completely. Again, it's a combination of Carl Rogers and Paul Conti. It's these two general ways of viewing the self. And, from Rogers, I think, comes the concept of what is it called? Hold on. It's important. Unconditional positive regard. So having unconditional positive regard for yourself is a big part of my general philosophy, because if you can have that, then that means that you can examine the dark and scary parts of yourself, the things that make you feel bad, and you can do it without aggravating them. It's kind of like, if you're by a hornet's nest, like there's probably a certain way that you could approach it to where you wouldn't actually be in danger, but the imminent danger would be there, if that makes sense. Like, I think with the way that I think, I'd imagine I have similar thoughts that and patterns and stuff like that everyone else does. But I feel like the crucial difference is that, like, when I start to feel a certain type of internal friction, I examine that and I try to interpret it. And this goes into the Paul Conti material, but I try to be grateful for it. And again, for me, gratefulness is actually figuring out the kernel of truth. Again, it's like dropping a ring into a pile of poop. There's a kernel of truth in that poop, but you don't have to encounter the whole turd. You can just get the part that's the diamond ring and then move on. So feelings that are more like arduous to deal with, I can be like, okay, well, this means something. I'm not going to be in complete denial and pretend that, like, life as a human being isn't some sort of a struggle. That's denial doesn't help. So acknowledge and then move on from there to, like, okay, well, how can I spin this so that it's like a positive thing? Since again, I believe that stories are like our most primitive and tappable belief systems. If you tell yourself a story over and over and over again, make a point to do it, like, it will become a real part of your life. And you just have to take the word story and kind of really extrapolate its meaning to basically be anything that contains narrative structure. So images, words, events in your life, like anything that can be understood as like character, environment, action, like noun, subject, verb, like, it's a story. That's the way that we interpret life. That's why, like, analogies and similes are so important. It's why Jesus used parables. It's like we think in terms of concepts. It's really, really, really abstract. It's kind of impressive. Not as impressive as, like, having hundreds of thousands of hyperdimensional vector space, but still. Anyway. From Carl Rogers to Paul Conti and everything in between, you got unconditional positive regard, you've got gratitude, agency, and generative drive. And those things, for me, it's like a winning combination. It's like a specialized dessert. I don't know. It just works. So anyway, that was a lot. And I still have so many. I thought about basically changing something. Well, let me actually pause this. Lol, man. It's good to be home. Let's see. Yeah. So one of my favorite thoughts that I had on my bike ride, which I don't know if I can... Oh my God, there's so many notes. How many did I make on that ride? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow. That's crazy, my dude. So I feel like I might... considering things, like, I feel like I'm at a point now where I can, like, evolve my branding, which is a stupid way of putting it, but I was in email marketing for 7 years of my life, and so it's easy language to pull from, but I was thinking about it on the ride, and I was just like, I feel like Book of Moron has kind of like run its course, like there was a period of my life where like I really enjoyed doing difficult things and like being this like caricature or something like that of like this person who wants to be wise, so labels himself a fool or an idiot or a moron. And now I'm like, okay, well, I think I got, Alan Watts says when you get the message, hang up the phone. And so I feel like I've gotten the message. And so I think I'm not fully ready to commit to this, but one of the big things that I was thinking about on the bike ride was like rebranding the Book of Moron to the Longform Stronghold, where like I basically still make these podcasts and everything, but then on top of them I layer videos from what I'm doing, which is much more feasible if I have access to electricity and stuff like that, and cafes and all those kinds of things. So I don't know, like I'm a little nervous about it because I feel like I've tried to do this so many times. I mean, I guess I could employ like the meta glasses and stuff like that. That would probably be easier than trying to use my phone, but I don't know. Like, cause I like long form content. It's what I like to create and it's what I like to consume. And, I think that I could like make an interesting YouTube video, but like, I don't want to do talking head stuff. So like, just like, well, maybe I would like, something to, cut away to, I could do a video of me doing the podcast live, and then I can intersperse that with, images from my day. So I'd basically I'd be making the podcast all day long. And then that would be my project in the following day. It would be hard to do that for a daily, like 50-minute vlog, but I don't know. I'm interested in the idea of it. So yeah, that's one thing. Oh my God, there's so much crazy stuff here. I might save this for tomorrow morning and just make another one then, because I've been talking for 47 minutes and there's no way I'm going to do this justice if I try to plow through 15 different list items. So I think I'm going to leave it there for now. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what Notebook LM says about this. But I assume, let's just call this part 1, and I'll finish up part 2 tomorrow morning. Shout out to my parents, love you, bye.